All right, welcome to the Alex Cuesta Show. How are you doing, everybody? I'm doing well. As always, thank you for pressing play. You don't have to press play, but yet you choose to, and you choose to listen to me ramble on and rant, and I really, really, really do appreciate that. As always, go and give us a follow on social media, wherever you are, and I say us because David, I guess, is a permanent fixture now. I guess he is. But give us follows on social media. Easy search, the Alex Cuesta Show. Last name, Cuesta. Once again, I am way too lazy to give all of the handles and stuff like that, so you're not going to get them. You're just going to go search if you're that inclined, and I appreciate that. So you can leave any comments from things you hear about the show that you want to know, or tell me I'm good, tell me I'm suck, tell me that David should be the head of the show, something like that. Just do whatever you want to do there. But again, we're going to get going. We're going to have some fun. I have a few things to do, a few little cleanups here before we get going on the main topic. So we're going to jump right in. So so if anyone's been noticing it all on the Twitter, the Alex Cuesta Show Twitter, my whole goal on there is to kind of just leave my comments here and there. I wouldn't say trolling, but a lot of the times it is trolling. But to leave my comments on things that I think are kind of bullshit. And I just go on there and do my little thing. One particular person decided to take homage with a comment that I left on a thread. The thread was for a former CNN, HCAN, I don't know what that is, and Current TV. I think I've heard of Current TV, but I guess she's a personality, Jackie Schechner. She had a comment, and it went a little something like this. She said, as an aside, the speed in which people came out of the woodwork to attack and threaten me viciously and personally over my tweets about gun law is gross and disturbing. There is so much vitriol and anger out there. You don't know anything about me. What WTF is wrong with people? Now, mind you, I commented on that and said, that's awful. People shouldn't be threatening you, but it kind of comes to territory when you're throwing your opinions out there. Just keep on trudging along. So I was positive with her because that does kind of suck. No one should have all the internet trolling and vitriol that goes on when it's that personal. But again, it does come with the territory. If you're putting your opinions out there on social media, you have to know that people kind of suck. But somebody commented and it said, you're doing the same thing to Kyle Rittenhouse. To which someone replied to that person, and I will mention this person because me and you got into a back-to-back. You're putting your personal or your avatar name out there, so I'm going to mention Ron Moranz, and then he has some symbols next to it. I apologize for not knowing the symbols. And he said, I'd sow it too, but I guess it meant I'd do it too. It's up to the jury to decide if Rittenhouse is guilty of murder. What we do know for sure is that as a child with no training, he chose to take a dangerous weapon out of the home where it was stored poorly and bring to a tense environment. He continued with... Now, what did he continue with? Let me see. And he said, wow. What am I doing here? Tense environment. And then he said the typos when he's angry. So I commented, being my little troll shelf, have you even watched or followed the trial at all? So yeah, kind of a dick thing. But I was actually curious because it seems like he didn't know what he was talking about there. He commented back, I watched parts of it and I read the newspaper. So respect, he kind of said, you didn't come out and say, I'm an expert. I watched the whole thing. No, he admitted. Watched part of it, read it in the papers. Then he continued to comment, Mr. Black, the senior, had a weapon in the safe. However, he removed it for some reason to put it in a place where Rittenhouse had easy access to it. When Rittenhouse retrieved it, he was allowed to remove it from the home. Mr. Black, the junior, has already confessed to burying a gun and buying the gun for Rittenhouse because he was underage. The mother of the person who drove him into the tense situation that he was not trained to respond to. A scared child, he responded in the worst way possible. And then he added me and said, which part of the above is inconsistent with the facts as we know them again? It is up to the jury to decide if Rittenhouse was murderer or not, but the adults in his life have failed him for sure. So we agree on one thing. It is up for the jury to decide this matter. And that is where we will stop agreeing, Mr. Ron Moranz. So let's pick apart from the beginning the things that you said in the comment back. So again, you said it was up to the jury to decide. And you said as a child with no training, he chose to take a dangerous weapon out of a home where it was stored poorly and bring it to a tense environment. Let's pick that apart first. You said with no training. If you were watching a trial, in the trial, he does mention that I'm pretty sure he was a junior firefighter which means that he was around EMS stuff, but maybe we can agree, no training there. He had a med kit, he had the weapon, and he was going there to protect the store. And when the store that he was at was under no duress, he then ventured out to help people medically. He had a med kit with him. So whether or not you had no training or not, he was out there trying to help anybody, not people that he was with. He was out trying to help the rioters and violent arsonists that were out there terrorizing the city of Kenosha that night. So let's get that in check. Whether he had training or not, he was trying to do something to help. So that is a moot point. So he chose to take a dangerous weapon out of a home where it was stored poorly and bring it to a tense environment. You continue to go on to get out more with that, talking about Mr. Black had the weapon in a safe. However, he removed it for some reason. We'll stop you right there. The reason he removed it is because his son and Kyle Rittenhouse were going out to protect the car lot or the car source stores there. They knew that. So Kyle Rittenhouse testified that he was given the option of whether or not to take the AR-15 or a handgun. He also specified that he knew the law and that being a 17-year-old, he was not allowed to take the handgun, but he was allowed to take the long rifle, the AR-15, which is not an assault weapon. AR does not stand for assault rifle. It is a long rifle. So right there, that just shows that you were just kind of putting in what you saw from a slanted source because you just put completely and totally incorrect information there, Mr. Ron. And so he chose to take the dangerous weapon out of a home where it was stored poorly. Again, it wasn't stored. It was out there. They knew what they were going to do with it. They knew they were going to defend another store. Now, before I get anything for saying, well, what was he doing in Kenosha? Why was he across state lines? Again, if you were paying attention to the trial, this is a very easy question to answer. He was there to defend the store. Yes. Is he from Kenosha, Wisconsin? No. But he lives a town over. Now, part of people will be saying, well, what does that mean? He's across state lines. He's a town over. He happens to work in Kenosha. He happens to have his father in Kenosha. He happens to have an aunt, uncle, cousins, and family in Kenosha. He drives through Kenosha almost daily, according to his own words, to go to work and do things, hang out with friends. He has people there. So Kyle Rittenhouse is not just some random person that went to Kenosha to hang out with the rioters and maybe help them out. He was there to defend the part of his town that he felt is his town because he has a lot of family and people there and give aid to rioters and arsonists if they got hurt in the riot and arson that they were committing. Okay, so let's continue to see what else Mr. Ron Moranz has to say. So he said that Mr. Black Jr. already confessed to buying the gun for Rittenhouse because he was underage. Now, we'll go through something here. This was 2 days ago, so I'm going to give Mr. Moranz the benefit of the doubt because it was within these 2 days that the weapons charge was thrown away by the judge for Kyle Rittenhouse because Kyle Rittenhouse, being 17, is legally allowed to carry a long rifle in Kenosha, Wisconsin, period. So what we know from here is that Mr. Black was just hoping to hedge his bet that if Kyle got a misdemeanor gun charge, he could then plead, I didn't do it. It wasn't my idea. So now that that's a null and void point, we're just going to take that and say that maybe you were saying that because you were hoping that he was going to get at least a misdemeanor gun charge, but that's not happening. So your next comment, the mother, the person who drove him to the tense situation where he was not trained to respond to, a scared child, he responded in the worst way possible. So the mother drove a son who had more of a sense of trying to save people than most of the grown men in this country do right now. He was a kid that sat there and saw injustices going on for at least 1 or 2 days before he even got there in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and said, enough's enough. Someone asked me if I want to go help protect somewhere, I'm going to go help protect it. Not saying it was right or wrong for him to go there, but the mother was not bringing him into a situation where he was necessarily unprepared or not wanting to go. He went there because he had family there. He had people there that he knew and loved and cared to protect. So no, the mother is not at fault there. And a scared child, he responded in the worst way possible. I agree, was a scared child. Response in the worst way possible? No. He shot a guy that was grabbing the barrel of his rifle when he was on the ground, pinned between himself and a car. He shot him when he was the last thing that he could possibly do with Mr. Rosenbaum. The second shot and kill was Mr. Huber, the guy that hit him with the skateboard twice already. Tried to. And he then shot him when he grabbed his gun. He didn't even shoot him after he hit him with the skateboard. Now, the prosecutor, Mr. Binger, is trying to say, well, a skateboard is not a deadly weapon. Well, fuck that. Of course it's a deadly weapon. Those chucks are made of pure metal, pure steel. If you get whacked full force overarm in the head with that, you're knocked out and possibly killed from the later injuries. So response to that, again, only shot him when he grabbed his gun. Not even after he hit him, when he grabbed his gun. Another thing, he got drop kicked and didn't shoot the guy that drop kicked him. So that also is another case. And then with the last person that he shot, again, the guy went, pointed a pistol at him. When Kyle put his gun up at him, he put his hands up, which is the famous photo we saw, which was a still photo taken out of context. After Gage put his hands up, Kyle then lowered the gun. It wasn't until Kyle was about to walk away that Gage raised the gun again and Kyle turned around to shoot and destroy his bicep. So that is what happened and what was expressed in the trial, not only by Kyle Rittenhouse, but by multiple eyewitnesses, journalists that were there, and even Gage Grosscheid, if that's how you say his name, himself about his own altercation and his altercation with Hubert. So unfortunately, Mr. Morans, Ron Morans, I would like to say we can agree to disagree and that you may have some facts and I don't. But the bottom line is you watched and read a different trial. You don't have the facts right. So we can agree that you're seeing what you want to see. We're going to see what the jury comes out with. We're going to see if they succumb to pressure from outside and give into outside pressure, like George Floyd's nephew saying, we will dox you, which should be illegal and he should be arrested. Or if they're going to do what they saw, the prosecutor bumble completely and the defense do enough of a job to just basically be there and prove self-defense. Because to be quite honest, the prosecution proved self-defense for Kyle Rittenhouse. So that he should be acquitted on all counts. Bottom line. So, Mr. Morans, I tried to put this in the beginning of the show for you, just so we can do this. The benefits of having a show is I don't have to engage in a long Twitter battle with long-winded stuff there. So I'm sorry for making you wait 2 days. I hope you listen to this part. You can turn it off if you want now, because you probably are really pissed at me and you're probably going to tweet at me and tell me I suck and I'm wrong and all this and point out some articles from Vice and maybe HuffPost, but you do you, bro. You do you, but I just wanted to respond to you. Dave, do you have anything quickly before we move on?
Quick house cleaning on some of that.
Go for it.
He was not on the ground when Rosenbaum reached. She was up top. Was standing up. Apparently close enough to the muzzle of the gun, though, that there was soot left on Rosenbaum's left hand, though. So very close, obviously, grabbing at the gun. He did actually shoot at Dropkick Man, if I am correct.
I think he said he popped off 2 shots. I think he said it himself.
He
but I don't think
shoot.
he hit him.
Yeah. No, he didn't hit him, but he did. He did shoot, which yet again getting attacked.
Drop kicked by boots. That hurts.
Binger tried to make a point that it was a foot against a gun. Meanwhile, the foot is like pressed around his face. So I don't know what the point is. I mean,
obviously Binger's never seen American History X. What a boot can do to a head.
But last thing, he was not standing when Gage went up to him. He was on his butt.
Okay.
Gage puts his hands up. Kyle basically lowers his gun. Gage pulls out. He already had it out, but he pulls his gun, his handgun, up to Kyle's head, and then Kyle hits him in the bicep. So just a couple things, but you got most of it correct if I'm remembering it correctly.
Yeah, so all the facts. It's tough to just relay all the facts there rapid fire. So I tried, and David is trooping through the show right now. I just want to let everyone know David does not feel well, and I appreciate him coming on because unfortunately for him, I designed the show around him being here now. So sucks to be him that he has to come on.
And if we still got something wrong, the video's out there. There's multiple angles of these videos. You can go watch it yourself.
Yeah, and a really blurry FBI drone that they tried to CGI up and, basically did an artist rendition and tried to make it actual evidence. But we'll stop there. Ron Morans, I appreciate you interacting. I'm not going to lie. I appreciate that. I'm always down to debate other viewpoints. I don't like Twitter debates. So, Mr. Morans, we're here. If you want to come on the show, if you want to argue with us about anything else political, I'm more than open. I'm not a pro. I'm an amateur myself. Come on the show. We could talk. I'm more than welcome. You're invited on. Anyway, we're going to jump into the next quick thing. Probably not going to be quick, but we're going to jump in as quick as we can. Dave, I have a question for you. This is regarding the masks. Now, this isn't necessarily to talk about whether masks are right, masks are wrong, overall efficacy of the mask, because I think we know now the cloth masks aren't super effective. Surgicals may be better. N95s are probably really good. And KN100s are more than likely the best, even though nobody uses KN100s. Anyone just says N95s, but I digress. But I have a question for you. Dave, you used to work around biohazard material. I believe you still work around some biohazard stuff. You used to deliver chlorine and bisulfite, and you can't deliver them both at the same time. If you do, they mix and they make mustard gas. You sniff it, you die, correct?
Well, it's not delivering both, but if you were to
combine them,
put any in a container that has, even if in any other chemical, there's a possibility that you could create something.
I meant you deliver them both at like the same time, putting them in the same container.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. I happen to work right now on insulation, so asbestos is part of something that I do. Now, in both of those things, now, Dave, if you were to somehow have to be exposed to mustard gas in some sort of way, you'd probably mask up. Completely and totally full face mask, right? If you had to enter into a situation to fix something, that would be the only way people would consider throwing you in there. That's what they do when they have to go into these situations, correct?
I mean, I guess I would honestly say this, we wouldn't go in there.
Probably. But for me,
way to figure this out,
with asbestos, we have to fully and totally mask up using HEPA filters because those particles are uber small and other masks will not be able to help us. They're not effective against it. Now, both of these things are easily, it's one sniff and it's in you. Asbestos, if it's in you, it's in you. Mustard gas, you sniff it, you're pretty much dead. Now, we've been told, and we found out, not even that we've been told, coronavirus is extremely contagious. That is its biggest value. That's the biggest nuisance part of it. Yes, a ton of people have died. 700,000 in the United States and counting, 5 million worldwide. It's a terrible thing. But the worst part about it is it's easily spread. That is by far the worst thing about coronavirus. It shuts down places because everyone can get it. Now, the big mask argument, and a lot of people have, is people say, why not just put the mask on? Why not? It's better than having nothing. At least you're blocking something. And now thinking about what we just talked about, Dave, were things that are super highly contagious, super highly easy to get. When they get in you, you're kind of screwed. We treat COVID-19 the same way, that when you're around it, if you get a little bit of it, it has an easy chance of infecting you. So why do we treat the masks with holes everywhere and just a little bit of protection like that has any true effect or any sort of help at all? It really seems like if you get a little bit of COVID, you're screwed. You can get it. So if we're not walking around with fit-tested N95s at the minimum, and everyone's walking around with cloth masks and surgical masks and gaiters with holes everywhere, is there, my question is a lot of people, I think masks are bullshit. I think it's bullshit for this reason, because the medical backing of it, that's super contagious, yet you could wear things with holes all around. It doesn't make sense to me, Dave.
I guess it's more of a sense of comfort for people, which, I mean, you could feel comfortable about it, but I generally do not need to prepare my life around your neuroticism. Honestly, no, that's the problem here. It's gotten to this point where you have to be mean, unless you're dealing with someone who is genuinely in a very vulnerable spot. You have to be mean. Like, that's enough. Stop. Because listen, we think about how long we've been doing this for now. Think about how long it's been since things have been quote unquote normal. Mainly because if you haven't noticed, we may not be going back to normal unless we just do it.
Yep.
And that's the biggest part of this mask thing. And I don't care if you wear it. I really don't. It's not a big deal to me. You could be around me with a mask, without a mask. Just be a good person. And that's the thing. We have decided that general characteristics of a person makes them a bad person. Now we've reverted back to it. It's actually funny because we were at a point where we decided, hey, how someone looks shouldn't be the way you judge them.
Yep. Immutable stuff is irrelevant normally.
Yeah. But now how someone looks is how people are going to judge you again, because we cannot help ourselves. If we think that there can be any sort of problem, we want to judge people. We want to, because it makes us feel good. It makes us feel good to judge people. We feel a little better about ourselves, mainly because if you're not doing much productive in your day, you're going to feel pretty good when you can judge someone.
Yep. And, and bottom line for me, I'm not, if a private company tells me throw the mask on to patronize here and I really want to go in there, I have no problem actually just throwing it on for the 20 minutes, whatever time I have to be in there. Mm-hmm. My problem is when someone comes up to me and I'm not wearing a mask, it's an optional thing. And they're just like, oh, well, a little protection's better than none. And it's like, no, it's fucking not. It's not. If this is as contagious, if the Delta variant is as contagious as they say, then with the particles that are insanely small, like smaller than the smallest particles I think we've seen in a long time for these types of viruses, I think it's something like if it goes through the N95, you're still getting like millions of particles coming through, hundreds of millions of particles coming through. So the bottom line is the masks are whatever. But don't sit there and tell me, well, a little bit of help is better than none. No, this is a super contagious thing. If you get any of it, then you have a huge chance of carrying it. So I'm done with that whole entire stupid, a little bit's better than none. No, you're fucking stupid.
And it comes down to this. I don't know if people have seen the poll that came out not too long ago about how they asked all political affiliations what the percentage is that people go to the hospital if they contract COVID-19. Not a single political affiliation even got close. And it's embarrassingly bad. I mean, I'm not going to fully blame the people. I think it was like an
ABC poll or something, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm not going to fully blame the people that answered on these polls, but they do have some fault because you're not allowed. You being this ignorant is part of the reason why people are so hateful right now.
Again, but I agree with you. It's almost not their fault, though, because from CNN to MSNBC to Fox News for the longest time, they had the COVID ticker on there. So all people were seeing were how many people were getting affected. And it was
that. And also, they're just not being honest about it.
No.
They're not being honest about it. It's about 1%, maybe less, depending on how vulnerable you are, that get hospitalized if you get COVID-19. Mm-hmm. Now, don't get me wrong, 1% is actually a pretty big number because of how many people live in the country.
Yes.
But it is 1% of people. It is highly infectious, but it is not going to send you directly to the hospital if you get it.
And fun secret,
protect your vulnerable, and that's what you need to do. Protect your vulnerable, not you, the healthy person.
And fun little tip for those that listen to news, listen to whatever you listen to. Whenever you hear them going, the hospitals are overrun, there are no beds. Just remember, the hospitals are private companies and they make money. So when you hear there's no beds, that means that they filled up the extra 5 to 15 that they have available because they run at damn near full capacity. Because if they don't, they can't pay their employees. So when you're hearing there's no beds left, there's one of two things. One, they filled up their spare beds that they had because they're running at a certain percentage to pay themselves. That's one. Number two, they fired a bunch of nurses for not wanting to get the vaccine. And you can't put people in beds if nurses can't care for them. There's only a certain number of the people that nurses can care for at the same time. So yes, there may be beds available. But you know what, though? Because you were too much of a little sissy pants to want somebody in the medical field who knows about medicine, who knows about disease, didn't want to get the vaccine because they're 29 and healthy and go to the gym every day. They got fired, along with a bunch of other people. And now the beds aren't available because people are dumb. And that's it. Because what we're doing is very stupid right now. So I digress with that. We're going to jump into the main topic here. And as we just get done being partisan, I'm going to start telling people that. So here's the thing. If you're political, number one, we all got political during Trump. I was already political. Dave was already political. But everyone decided that because the media told them Trump bad, that it was okay to be political. And it was okay to be vitriolic political, not just political, but the type of political that everybody hates. How many more times can I say political, Dave? But it's the type that everyone hates, where all they do is call names and nobody actually talks about anything that's actually involved. So now that we moved on from Trump, We're on to Biden. And that a lot of people still hung out. There's a lot of people that are political now that weren't before. I will say this. It is okay to have your beliefs. It is okay to be partisan. It really is. It's okay to be a conservative, a libertarian, a progressive, even a communist, even though you're an idiot if you're a communist, but a communist, a fascist, a socialist. You guys have no idea what you're talking about, but at least you're allowed to do it. Here's my plea, though. We need to stop with all of the tribalism. We've said it before. A lot of people say it. We have become a tribal nation, mainly because every Tom, Dick, and Harry and idiot is allowed to have their opinions down, put them out there on social media. And most of the time, it's a bunch of dummies that respond to them and they all fight. But we have become so sheltered and so my opinion's my opinion and my opinion's right and your opinion's wrong. And it's kind of always been that way, but it's so much more easily and ready available to do it. I'm asking people, if you're going to be a hyper partisan, at the very least, understand what the other side wants and what they want to do and what they're saying. Go, if you are a conservative, take the time to listen to NPR for about an hour a day, an hour every other day, a little bit. Watch some MSNBC, CNN. Read a goddamn book. How about that? The best part of information. If you want to know about the other side's ideology, left or right, read a book by a scholar from the other side. You're going to see a lot of it laid out. And at the end of this, I'm going to give you guys a bunch of suggestions on both sides. Because one of the reasons I'm pretty damn confident in how I feel politically and what I feel is I take the time to read books I absolutely fucking hate. I hate these books. But to me, they're important. It's important to know that when I'm arguing against a collective society, Marxism, socialism, the Great Reset, those types of things, I'm arguing from it because I've read about it, because I know what they're saying. I understand it. Any critical theories, critical race theory and all that, I know what it is because I take the time to actually educate myself and not to do your own research by Google searching. I read it from the author's mouths, from the people that are making these philosophies. So that is why I am able to, and it annoys me when I see people that I know are only just hyper partisan, that most of them don't read books. And I'm going to help everyone out because I'm going to give a free plug to Libby, the app Libby. You can get it on your smartphone. We all have them. It's an easy app. You download it. All you need is a library card. You can connect to your local library and you have access to all of their audiobooks or written books. So you can decide whatever they have in there. You can go look and listen on your own time. We're a podcast society now. You can easily get access to these books. So that's one of the things that annoys me. People are hyper partisan and they only know their side. And I see on social media posts, it's quite obvious with certain people that they have never read or even tried to expose themselves to what the other side thinks outside of somebody on their side putting out a hit piece or a meme to make fun of the other side. They don't actually know what the other side stands for. The right thinks the left are fascists and Nazis. The left thinks the right are fascists and Nazis. They both say the same goddamn thing about each other. One side's right. One side's wrong. They can't both be right. But you need to research both sides so you can decide which one's which. When you're looking at something you agree with, question it. I listen to a lot of conservative stuff. I'm putting that out there. I am comfortable being a libertarian paleo conservative. I would say I'm more conservative, but I have libertarian tendencies. I do have some liberal tendencies. I consider myself a classical liberal. But I don't blindly take what these people say as face value. I question them, especially if I fully hearted agree with what they say. I all of a sudden go to, okay, why? Why do I agree with what they're saying? Where can I go to find out what the other side is saying so I can now either confirm my conviction or rethink it? I just got done reading a book that I thought I was going to completely disagree with, The Deficit Myth by Stephanie Kelton. Nobody might know who Stephanie Kelton is. Stephanie Kelton's extremely important. It's a book about modern monetary theory. She's a person that brought that into the current government, the current system of monetary fiscal theory that the current Biden administration is using is this theory. She was the economist for Bernie Sanders, and then she was the economist for the Democrat Party for a long time. She's very involved. And this is her book about it. So I took the time to read it. I have to say, there were some things I read that were extremely interesting. Did I walk away believing in modern monetary theory? Oh, fuck no. But I understand what they're coming from, what they're saying now. I'm not just listening to Glenn Beck talk about it, or someone on Twitter that's on the right talk about it and give me little blips and blurbs and generalities. I have a better understanding. I don't know all the economic terms, but I have a better understanding of it. So make sure that when you're listening, if you're watching CNN, if you're a big CNN person and Brian Stelter on Reliable Sources goes and tells you something and you're like, yeah, absolutely, Stelter's dead on about that. What you should be doing is he's dead on, but why? Why is he right about what he said? What is he correct about? Challenge it. Try and research against it. If you listen to Rachel Maddow and you see her holding up a thing that she says is Trump's tax returns and it ends up being a nothing burger, why was she so fooled? What did she have? What was she trying to prove? And what's on the other side? That is what we need to be doing. If we want to end the nonsense that's going on now, we need to be doing those things. If you believe in what the person that you're hearing is saying the most, try and figure out why and challenge it. And I know Brian Stelter, I mentioned him. He's the one that said, do your own research is some of the worst things that have happened to America today. That's disingenuous of him. And that makes me feel like he doesn't want people researching against him on his own side. But I hate that. It doesn't mean going to do a Google search, because if you just do Google searches, you have no idea what the hell you're looking for. But like I said, read a book on the topics. Books are readily available. No one's burned them all yet. It hasn't happened yet. We're not in Fahrenheit 451.
451.
Fahrenheit 451 yet. We're not there. And if you haven't read that book, read it. Another thing that I want people to do, and it comes along with reading, when you know your argument for something, it's good to know what the other side's going to say better than the person you're debating. It's always valuable to understand and know what they're going to say to you. On top of that, actually listening helps too. Don't just sit there and debate and thinking about what you're going to say next after you hear one thing that you know you don't like. Listen to them. And maybe repeat back what you think they said. Because maybe you didn't understand what they said. And they might be more clear than you think. And they might be agreeing with you more than you think. Talk to people, not trying to win anymore. Talk to people of different ideologies without the intent of winning. Because you're not going to win anybody over if it's a whole bunch of gotchas. Talk to them and see where you can find some common ground. And then see where you don't find common ground. And try and find out why. We're inching towards a point of no return that both sides are predicting. And I'm here to tell you, if you're on the left and someone voted for Trump and they're a conservative, they're not evil. They don't support sexual misconduct. They're not a xenophobe. They don't hate the country. They're not an insurrectionist. If you're on the right and you know a Bernie supporter or someone who voted for Biden, doesn't automatically make them a socialist. It doesn't make them evil. It doesn't make them hate America. Do have different philosophies. If we keep on thinking of each other in this way, that just because you voted one way, you're now a dickhead. Doesn't matter that you guys may both like football, or you both may be addicted to watching So You Think You Could Dance, and you have so many other things in common. Just the one little political thing is now throwing off everything in this society. Part of it has to do with social media. Part of it has to do with that. We are slaves to algorithms. And I encourage everyone to go read a Forbes article by the World Economic Forum, where they describe what their future looks like. It's from 2016. Person actually says, I just want to let the algorithm do it. It's kind of where we are. We get all the things that we see on Facebook via an algorithm. So I don't blame certain people that only see one side, because it's by design. But I encourage you guys now to go watch The Social Dilemma, as well as The Creepy Line, and I think it's The Great Hack, or The Hack. Social Dilemma is about Facebook and all the shit that they do and how they algorithms and how they're tracking us. Creepy Line's about Google and how they influence things and the way they try to influence elections and succeed. And The Great Hacker is about how the Trump campaign used Cambridge Analytica to try and track and see how they could change certain things and certain votes using Cambridge Analytica. No one's perfect in this. I voted for Trump, and I think that's sleazy, but it's what needed to be done. I guarantee if we delved into Barack Obama, he was the first great social media influencer in terms of politics. Guarantee if we delve into him, we can find something similar to what Trump did with Cambridge Analytica. So watch those things and understand what's happening to you. Understand the other side. And lastly, be open to being wrong about what you believe. Like I said, I just read that book, The Deficit Myth on Modern Monetary Theory. I went into it initially thinking this is the dumbest theory. It's monopoly money. It's stupid. And I'll tell you, Stephanie Kelton brought up some things that made me think a little differently about our economy. Do I agree with modern monetary theory now? No. But do I see things differently because my mind was open to trying to understand what she was saying? Yes. And I've done this a lot. And I'm going to give some book recommendations at the end for people to go use the Libby app. Libby, if you ever listen, please sponsor us. I will gladly plug you every single episode because you are the greatest app to ever exist, period. Libby is the greatest app ever. It gives you access to books. Books are knowledge and books are amazing. You don't have to read them. You could do this. You're listening to this podcast right now. All you got to do is listen to a book. You have it for 14 days on each borrow. So I'm just so tired of people staying in their political safe space. Take a step out. Stop being triggered by things you disagree with. David, do you have anything to add?
Not really. One of the things, I guess, discussion wise is basically piggybacking off of one of the points that you made is just find out what the person is saying. Actually understand what they mean when they say something, because most arguments usually are based off of not fully understanding the other person's point. And try not to use just straight talking points. Try not to use that. If you find yourself using just straight talking points, then think about how much you might know about the thing. Don't get me wrong. Talking points in and of itself aren't the worst thing in the world. But if that's all you know about something, then you may not know as much as you think you do.
And also on top of that, Dave, to piggyback on what you just said, be okay with not knowing something. Mm-hmm. You don't have to know everything. Because like you said, if you're just using talking points and not anything else to back it up, then you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. That's it. If you only heard something on Hannity, or if you only heard Anderson Cooper repeat it, and then some expert on CNN or some expert that Tucker Carlson brought in on Fox News comes in and gives you a minute about it, that doesn't mean you know anything about that topic. You're debating somebody that probably equally has as much knowledge as you, and it goes around that neither of you know what the hell you're talking about. So my plea is take the time to listen, take the time to learn, be okay with not knowing. Be okay with going, I don't know that. You might be right. Let me get back to you. Or enlighten me more. I don't know what you're talking about. Can you give me more about that? That's an easy way to find out if somebody's full of shit, too. Because if they try to get you something that you don't know about and you're like, oh, man, I didn't know that. Can you tell me more? Oh, well, I heard it on this. Okay, then neither of us actually know. That's all that comes down to. So just stop just sharing memes and thinking that you know something based off a meme with statistics and little dumb facts or attacks. You don't have to change sides. You don't have to like the other side politically, but at least know what they're trying to say or do, because it'll only make your theory and your philosophy and what you believe that much stronger. So, like I said back at the top, take some time to watch, listen, read, something that you disagree with. I'm going to give a quick list of things that I've read. I've read all these books. So I'm going to give you a suggestion on reading all of these books. If you're on the right, I recommend The Deficit Myth by Stephanie Kelton, learning about modern monetary theory. White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo. How to Be Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi. Those are both about critical race theory. They're not fun if you don't believe in it, but they're good to know. Read the Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. Valuable. You can't say you don't like Marxism and communism if you've never read the Communist Manifesto. You're an idiot. Read Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler for those that are on the left saying he's on the right. No, he's not. Fascism is a branch of socialism. We're going to talk about that in another episode. But read Mein Kampf by Hitler. Again, valuable to understand that worldview. Read Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. Honestly, he's a beautiful writer. I enjoyed reading the book. Disagreed with a ton of it, but I enjoyed reading it. Ta-Nehisi Coates is an interesting individual. Read The Socialist Awakening by John B. Judas. It's not necessarily a fully left book, because he also wrote another one about the populist awakening. I only put this in there because at the beginning, he says he is a socialist. He comes out and flat out says it. And this is basically his critique of the current socialist movement from the way he sees it. So that's the only reason I put it on the left. Reading it, though, he seems like a pretty fair guy. I haven't been able to pick up his other books about awakenings yet because they've been backed up, but he's a fair guy. And lastly, Shaping the Future of the Fourth Industrial Revolution by Klaus Schwab. Easily the most terrifying book I've ever read in my damn life. Klaus Schwab is a leader of the World Economic Forum, which is not a conspiracy theory that people talk about. They're a place where Klaus Schwab is the ringleader, and world leaders and business leaders around the world go there to basically hear what's on the agenda and try and implement it. Look up where Build Back Better came from. Sure as hell didn't come from Biden or Boris Johnson. Books on the right, if you're on the left and listening to this, these are the books that I recommend that I've read. So Dinesh D'Souza, like him or hate him, is one of the better and more influential current right scholars. Death of a Nation and The Big Lie are two valuable books that he's written. Addicted to Outrage by Glenn Beck and How to Argue with Socialists. Both books that you should read, even if you disagree, even if you're sitting there and you rolled your eyes at Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck is an influential person on the right, and he's not even a fully conservative. I'd say he's probably sitting in the libertarian area too. Another one, Cynical Theories by Helen Pluckrose and James Lindsay, which they would both probably get mad at me if they hear that I put them on the right, because they're both leftists. Helen Pluckrose will tell you she's a lefty from Britain. James Lindsay will gladly tell you he voted for Barack Obama twice and still believes in those votes. But the left is now far left, so they are in a coalition of people on the quote-unquote right. So Cynical Theories is all against the critical theories, including critical race theory. Read that if you're on the left. Find out if what you're believing in critical theories and critical race theory, queer theory, fat studies, gender studies, feminism, post-colonialism is correct. Not even correct. Find out facts you probably never even knew about them or who influenced them. Read Secret Empires by Peter Schweitzer. He's definitely on the right, but he's one of the better investigative journalists on the planet. Read it. Don't Burn This Book by Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin is a former Democrat, former lefty, homosexual that is now on the right. And I'll tell you, he's not completely on the right. Dave Rubin, Don't Burn This Book is another very good book. And the last one, The Moral Case for Fossil Fuels by Alex Epstein. He breaks down about fossil fuels and why he believes as a researcher, fossil fuels are actually a good thing and not a bad thing. Again, if you're on the left, you probably disagree with this, but that's okay. Read the book. Find out what the fossil fuel supporting side thinks, so it only strengthens your belief in reusable energies. So those are the books that I recommend for both sides. No one has to listen to me, but at least understand that when I talk about what I talk about, when I come from where I come from, I at least attempt to not come at it from ignorance. I attempt to come at it from trying to understand the other side. And if anyone has any book recommendations from the left to send to me, please send to me, because I always want to read more. I basically guess I like BDSM because this is basically, when I read these, it is essentially literary BDSM for me. It's torture, but I love it at the same time because I'm learning. David, you're making a face.
You could say you're masochistic. That's not, oh, I'm into BDS, literary BDSM. What's wrong with you?
I mean, listen, it's literary BDSM.
That involves more than masochism.
Literary. It's not physical. It's not actually on this plane. It's in the plane of my brain. All right, Dave, before we close out, do you have anything else to add? You're feeling under the weather. I truly appreciate you joining me here.
Not entirely. You actually put out a lot of books that were, I would classify most of them as nonfiction. I would also recommend reading fiction books because you may think there's not that much to gain from fiction books, but I'm going to tell you right now, most of the things that you could learn in life come from stories that are not in the real world. So, I mean, everyone always brings up the dystopian novels. There's a ton of them. I don't even need to name them. You know them as soon as I said them. But read those. Those are good. But read other fiction books that just catch your eye in general, because those they're going to shape some of the things in your life that you don't even realize. You'll enjoy the ride more, most likely.
All right. So that is this episode. Please don't take what I said lightly. I wasn't coming at this from a partisan angle. Obviously, I am partisan. There's no secret about that. I am on the right. But this is a plea to both sides. If you're on the right and you happen to agree with the things I say, why do you agree with them? If you're on the left and you disagree, why do you disagree? Go research it more, find out why. Don't just Google search and read an article from HuffPo or Fox News or the Post Millennial or CNN. Actually do more research besides that. Articles don't mean anything. Read some books. Go on Scholar Google. Go steal a college kid's JSTOR account. Do some research, please. And for the love of God, like, follow, share this podcast with other people. Give us a high rating. The more high rating we get, the more we get pushed up. Word of mouth is the best way. If you like what we're doing here, word of mouth is the best way to spread it. Please tell people to listen to this. We probably went a little long today, but I try to keep it around 30 minutes. But again, I hope everyone enjoyed this episode of the Alex Cuesta Show. Follow us on socials, Cuesta, Cuesta. Go search Alex Cuesta Show, and you will see it pop up because my last name is unique. All right, everybody, I really appreciate you all listening.